I almost wish I could go back in time a little bit because I needed this episode more than I really realized. Man, big shout out to Alex, man, for joining us on the Down to Business podcast. And we talked all things about his career coaching company that he launched back in January. And really the proactive approach that he took before even moving down to Tampa to make sure that he was connecting with young professionals across all facets. So whether you're a high school student, a prospective college student, a current college student, or even a recent college graduate, Alex and Mahaz Consulting, they can definitely be of assistance to you. Man, when I tell you, I feel like he dropped the blueprint to just the job search, to just building connections, to just establishing these connections, to networking, to the fortune is in the follow-up, one of my favorite lines and a mantra that I live by day in and day out. And then we even got into the LinkedIn easy apply button, and man, that was definitely a part you don't want to miss because that was my bread and butter at one point. But look, I'll stop the talking. I'll let Alex do the rest. Without further ado, enjoy episode 159, Strategic Execution. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Down to Business podcast. I think y'all love when I'm live. I love when I'm live, so big shout out to my boy Alex for making this happen. Man, technical difficulties, they stop a lot of things. They don't stop the Down to Business show. So the last time we actually hopped on, we went live, there was a crazy thunderstorm going on with us. So we lost connection to each other at one point, and naturally it did alter the interview a little bit, and I wanted to just be as clear, cut, and concise as possible. So Alex wanted to do live. So here we are, right next to each other, no gimmicks, no screens, none of that. So very happy to be sitting down with my boys today. Very happy that we did have a little bit of rain earlier, so I was a little nervous, but face-to-face, we're always all good. So obviously very excited to bring him back on the podcast. We never debuted his episode or anything like that, so only people caught it were the people on my Instagram live. So very excited for him to tell y'all what's been going on, what's been happening since we last talked, because he's made some progress himself. So how you doing today, bro? How's everything?
Good, man. Good to see you.
Likewise. Thank you for coming
on. Glad to get another shot at this.
Come on now. All right. So clear skies. We're here now. Bring everybody on the same page. I got some IG Live people tapping in. I know we're going to have some watchers, some viewers, some listeners, and then some people coming from your side, from my side. So let's get everybody up to speed. So can you, one, just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then two, tell us what brings you on the podcast?
Yeah, definitely. So we met probably, a couple months ago. We met at YEA. Shout out to Brock. Young entrepreneurs. But yeah, so I'm Alex. So I grew up in Illinois. I've been down here almost 2 years. So I work in IT project management during the day, and then I actually launched my own career coaching company this January. So really the main focus with my career coaching company is really just helping young professionals, college students. Also, too, we're starting to work with some high school students as well, just kind of paving a different path for them if they don't choose to go down the college route. So really just passionate about that, kind of taking some of the things that I've learned just from my experience with internships, going to college. I graduated in 4 years at UW Stout, so I was a college athlete. But there was just a lot of things I learned just throughout applying for jobs and the interviewing process that really kind of just ticked me off with the back of a lot of words. So really, I'm just kind of passionate about this. I launched this business really to just kind of give back and help people. So
okay, got that. All right, so initially I heard you say move from Illinois down here. So the journey from Illinois to Tampa, walk me through that. What prompted the move, if anything? I know for me, like I agree with your sentiment of just getting tired of the job search process, but I was also job searching during the pandemic. So it was really like people couldn't even, it's not even that they didn't want to hire you, it was more so they couldn't hire you. So for me, I left Philly just out of frustration, just out of just wanting a fresh start, needing to be someplace, would have never picked Tampa, but here we are. So for you, leaving Illinois, getting down here, what was that journey?
Yeah, man. So I had 2 really good internships in college. My sophomore year, junior year, I had a business management degree. I thought I had everything lined up. Everything was perfect. And then COVID hit. And I started applying for jobs my senior year of September. So I went 9 months crazy. It was either going to be like Texas or Florida. So I kind of had an idea. I started targeting companies in both those states. And I got out of school, graduated in May 2021. Nothing lined up. I had a bunch of connections, networks. There just wasn't any opportunities. So I spent almost a year really just looking for a job, looking to relocate, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't find anything. So finally, in July, I found my first role down here as a business development role, and that's kind of what prompted me to move to Tampa. So, but throughout that whole process, ups and downs, the frustration really just kind of made me kind of just wonder, like, how many other college students, how many other young professionals are going through that process where they don't really have anybody but like their career services to really give them guidance. And I think for me personally, that really wasn't what I wish I got a lot more out of my career services in school. So I kind of had to figure out a lot of things on my own, especially throughout my degree. So yeah, I've been here 2 years almost, and I'm never moving back. So I'm fully remote now too. So I think really just I'm blessed to kind of have that opportunity, but I definitely had to put in a lot of work to just kind of understand really what I wanted and my goals, especially with my career. So,
and that's really what I'm hearing, man. I'm hearing just staying steadfast, staying patient, staying persistent, when I'm sure that there were days where you were just waking up just ready to punch through a wall, because I understand, even for me, just that job search process for I would say about a year, because I was even looking while I was still at Target. So when I left in Syracuse, 2019, got back. Yeah, so that's frustrating, bro. But so much so, but the fact that you kept going, the fact that you kept pushing, the fact that you kept doing it, because eventually it gets to a point where you wrote enough cover letters, you wrote enough resumes, you sent enough emails, did enough follow-ups, hopped on enough calls. It's just like, well, where does this end? What does this happen? The job process is exhausting. I hate updating my resume. So hopefully I stay in my positions for as long as possible. Yeah. But I also commend you because you took it a step further. I definitely agree with you, the sentiment of just wondering how many people were dealing with the same things. Just wondering how many, because I went to a Catholic private high school. So for us, like, we had college counselors. We were meeting with them once a week. We had college interview day where the schools were coming to us and transcripts and resumes and everything. But I look at my little brother who went to like a public school, or I even talked to some of my friends who were in high school the same time as me, and some of the stuff that I was saying to them was so foreign. So I commend you for taking a step further, not only just wondering about those people, but then branding yourself. So in speaking of the brand, how did this come to be? How did consulting, how did coaching, how did this really get its start? Because like you said, you recognized the problem, you recognized what was going on, but how did you then really start to act on it and get it to what it is today?
Yeah, no, definitely. So what I really realized, kind of what I did was completely different in the job search. So instead of kind of just applying for jobs the old-fashioned way, kind of what we were taught in college, like send out your resume, fill out your resume, make sure your cover letter, like you said, is good. I kind of like re-engineered the process, and really, I don't know how I learned this. I just from trial and error, really. And so everything I've kind of taught and built into this business is kind of what I've learned from. So it's really focused on building referrals, building connections and relationships internally within companies. Target companies too. So like we really teach people to find 5 or 6 companies that you're really interested and at working at, and kind of finding like different areas where you want to be too throughout the country. So really kind of targeting it specifically for your goals and where you want to go. So that's kind of what I did, and really that's kind of what we're teaching, is being able to kind of find exactly where you want to go in your career, and also too like what you're passionate about, and tie that into your job search. So
okay, I love that, and I think it's very important to be intentional. A lot of times, sometimes we apply aimlessly. Right, and we just don't realize we're just sending. I seen one of your posts the other day that said, "Stop clicking easy applies." I love that, bro, because at one point on LinkedIn, I was literally riding or dying on easy applies. I was like, if it doesn't,
it's so easy, man. I mean, you can see. I used to do that too. You can apply for 200 jobs on LinkedIn in 2 hours. Like you can just hit that quick apply. But it's like what I've learned is you got to really build a relationship. And there's a lot of those jobs too that they have the recruiters that you can connect and message directly. So like teaching to build that relationship with them, kind of get ahead of that. The other people.
It's so important. You have to sometimes just go that extra mile, take that extra step, click that. There's fortune in the follow-up. That's one of my favorite sayings here. So now, being in Tampa, being right next to University of Tampa, being kind of in some parts of USF's campus, having St. Leo University down here as well, and then they're probably a Hillsborough Community College, a couple of other spots. How did you really start to immerse yourself? How did really students begin to find out like who you were, what you were doing? Because I could imagine too, you being in a new place. You being somewhere you're not really familiar with, you not knowing these people here, you're not really having any ties to Tampa at all. It can be hard to make yourself uncomfortable, to put yourself out there like that, to really network and build connections outside of what you were doing online. How did you really do that and implement that out here?
Just start even before I got down here that summer before. Once I got the job, I started just building relationships with other college students. Before I even really like launched the business or thought that was a thing that I was going to be able to do. So really just building relationships with other people that were in similar positions as me, young professionals specifically, and different people in different industries too, and just building that relationship, and then slowly kind of learning like, hey, what I did works. Like this process works. It's proven to work. Like I got 2 really good jobs. I doubled my salary in this second job I have now just from literally the processes like that we're teaching. So really that's kind of what I started doing, building relationships, explaining what worked for me, and really like building relationships, connecting with other young professionals, like getting to know them that were still in college, because I talk to a lot of college students that just don't get the help or resources, whether it's from their family or from their university. So really just kind of connecting with them, because there was a lot of resources I wish I had too, kind of going in school. So yeah, that's the biggest thing that I focus on.
Got you. Okay. So now I love how you ended that, and it prompts me now to want to follow up on that. So what would you say back when you were high school, college even, what would have been helpful for you? What resources do you feel that, and it could be specific to just Illinois, it could be specific to the public school system, it could be just generally speaking, whatever. What do you feel like would have really propelled or really set you up just better so to be able to navigate this? Because I often feel like there is such a lost translation from college to the real world. It's real. Like those 4 years, 5, however long you go or do whatever, like it happens fast. And then once you're out there, it literally just feels like they kind of just dropped you off and you're there. And if you don't have it together, man, even if you do have it together, sometimes it can be that hard. So what would have been helpful and useful for you?
Yeah, the biggest thing is like, I wish I would have had a mentor specifically. And that's so hard to find, especially when you're like 15, 16 years old. Like if you don't, I mean, your parents are obviously, they want what's best for you. I was fortunate. My dad was kind of like an entrepreneur, so he kind of pushed me in the right direction. My mom had a really good corporate job. So kind of having them growing up, seeing that process helped me. But I wish I had somebody that was really like focused on kind of something bigger, because like I feel like colleges and even in high schools too, they tend to like kind of put us in a box, and I feel like there's so many people that have skills that they don't even know they have, and they're kind of thrown down a specific path that they might not be passionate about, whether that's from family, friends, or just kind of what they're studying in school. So I mean, there's so many degrees and so many different paths people can take. So I think the biggest thing is I wish somebody kind of would have sat down with me and said, like, where are your goals? Like, what are you really passionate about? What do you enjoy doing? Not just in your career, but like in general. And then I think that would have helped me figure out quicker, like what I'm good at, and figured out, start unraveling those skills at a younger age. I think it took until probably sophomore year of college till I started really figuring out what I was good at. And I just kind of had to do that from kind of trial and error. So, I would encourage like anybody that's in high school, 16, 17, 18, to try to find somebody that's like 3 or 4 years ahead of them, and have proven results and things that they want. And it can really tie that to where they want to go and their values. So.
Okay. I like that a lot. I feel like with anything, man, mentor, leader, somebody that you look up to, somebody that's kind of been there, done that in a sense. Maybe not necessarily your exact route, your exact path, but in some capacity,
exactly.
Life has experienced it. So I feel that, and it even makes me think again the story I was telling you about how we were meeting with people at my school that were doing this. So just the loss in translation, just from where you were and where I was, but to also just say too how resources are lacking, and that's part of the reason why I speak so much about. Even spoke about it in my last episode about wanting to start my nonprofit, wanting to really help the public school system, wanting to really help these students and get things in front of them. Because, like you said, it can be a process. One, trying to find out what you want to do.
It's overwhelming too, especially when you're still growing up and there's still so much to learn about the world, the job market, everything. It's very overwhelming.
And I think too, sometimes they put that thing on you, like where. They make it seem like college is just, you got all the time in the world to figure it out. Man, that time is ticking. From the time you get accepted to the time I never really realized how
so quick, man. 4 years,
so
man. It's like
coming in there undecided, like still trying to figure it out. We hear oftentimes people are so set on one thing, they declare something else. So I tell a lot of people who I went to, not a lot, but a good amount of people who I went to school with have switched or done other things or back in school or anything. So it's not true. While it is a lot of time, while 4 years can definitely be some time, it's not that long, especially when you're having fun, when you're really in the
group. If you play a sport, if you're in a sorority, you're having fun.
It goes by like that, man. It's crazy to think I've been removed from college now 4 or 5 years. Like that's just to me, I'm just like, wow, like I just remember some of that stuff like yesterday. Like it's just like, but though, just as fast as I was in there that 4 years, as fast as it can go. So I agree with you 100%. Now with what you do specifically. I really want to touch on the content. I love, bro. I said it back then. I love the content, bro. Every morning I feel like I'm seeing, whether it's just your face, whether it's just the gym work, whether it's just tips, anything like that. I love the consistency behind that. But I know what it takes to be consistent, and I know what it takes on those days where you just may not have it, or you don't feel like it, or you just, I think simply put, you just don't feel like it. So for you, where does a lot of your motivation come from behind your content? Are you just constantly researching things? Are you speaking from personal experience? Are these testimonials? Is it kind of a mix of everything? What is your creative process?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Lately, really, how I started with the content was just from what I went through, my experience with the job market, kind of researching, connecting, building up my LinkedIn. I think that was really important for me. I had a mentor, like one of my bosses at my internship. My sophomore year of college, she really stressed that like LinkedIn was so important for branding, not even just for like the corporate world. Like even if you don't go down that route, like any like entrepreneurial route, any kind of route that you take, I think LinkedIn is also a really good platform to have besides just Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook. So that's what I really learned. I started building that LinkedIn brand up, and I'm at like 14,000 followers in like 2 years. So like just having that relationship, having that outlet made the process a lot easier for me. So just kind of teaching those skills to others, that's kind of where I go about it. Staying consistent, I think like how you do one thing is how you do everything. Like I know that's kind of like a cliche, but it's really true. And that's kind of transitioned into my career, into this business venture now, into the gym, into my relationships. So I think that's really important. Like just find the consistency, find things that you're good at, and really focus on things that you're good at. And I think that I've done a really good job too of not spending so much time on the things I'm not good at. So like, and just kind of like delegating the work, but things that I'm not good at. So just being consistent and really kind of being around the right people. And for me specifically, it's helped being around people that are ahead of me and have the things that I want. That's really transitioned into this, and it's allowed me to help more college students the last few months, kind of having that mentality. So
it's so important to build a brand, and just the digital footprint that we have, man. You never know what rooms you're in, who knows you, who's already been talking about you, mutuals, anything like that. I'm slowly but surely finding that out too. But I love your point about the finding someone who's where you want to be. I think that's so important. Somebody, I can't remember which interview it was, but they spoke about thinking about the end goal and working backwards from there. And man, I swear, like something just so simple as that really transformed the way I was thinking, because often I found myself thinking ahead, but still keeping everything like in front of me. Like I wasn't really thinking at the end. I was more so just thinking, all right, let me think long game, but not like too crazy. Yeah. But no, if you literally in your mind see where you're at, work back. Yeah. It transformed me, and it's even changing. I've noticed it changed my work ethic, my consistency, just the same. Now, for the college students, for who you're helping, for who you're talking to, even like you said, trying to get more so with the high school in that realm. Mm-hmm. Do you see any commonalities across what students are facing, what they're dealing with, just questions, just issues? What are some of the things?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is, and that's kind of where I'm focusing this business on, is like building relationships within companies. Recruiters, really understanding that. I think a lot of college students, and I was like this too, is they think that their resume and their degree is going to guarantee them a job, and it's not. And we both know that it's not guaranteed at all. And I think it's a totally different conversation. But like when you're 18 and choosing to go to college and things like that, it's crazy to kind of take that loan and everything. That's a huge decision, I think, when you're so young. So I think college students are naive just because of the process, how everything is, that they're going to be guaranteed a job after 4 years, no matter what their degree is or experience, and that's just not the case. So, and I learned that personally, so I really kind of focus on that. I try to teach people that, you get into the company early, build relationships internally, and just the networking is so important. Even no matter how much experience you have, you're not guaranteed a position. The market changes right now, the way the economy is. So, I mean, it's just like really, I think the more people you can get to know and build that relationship, you just constantly get referrals. Like I'll get referrals every single day for IT jobs. It's just basically just building that brand. It's taken a couple of years, but now it's just DMs every single day about opportunities. So I try to show that to college students and young professionals so they can kind of see that it is possible. It's just you really got to figure out exactly what you want, or you're just kind of applying to random jobs, kind of hoping for the best. So, yeah.
Shooting blindly a little bit. Got you. All right. So it's so crazy to hear that you, in some respects, you felt behind in the journey. You felt like time was wasted. You felt like you could have been here. You could have been so much more ahead. But in other cases, it's amazing also to hear how just ahead of the game you are, in a sense, the brand that you're building, just the network, and just how you're recognizing that everything is not going to come instant. We love instant gratification, but as you put in the work, as you continue to just build a little bit here, add a little bit to the foundation here, stack a little bit here, take what you learned here, revamp, rebrand, everything of the sort, you're setting yourself up for the future. So I love to hear that while some things definitely deterred you, set you back a little bit, you didn't really allow it to hold you back. You know, we all take those L's, we all trip a little bit, we all stumble, but do you get back up? Do you keep going? Do you continue to go? And I think that while he's more so applying that to his life and what he has going on, that's a message just for business owners and entrepreneurs alike, that it's not always, yes, there are going to be plenty of times where you're going to win. It's just going to happen. It's going to be simple, just bang like that. There are also going to be plenty of times where it just feels like we said, like you're shooting blind, like you don't really have anything in front of you. You can't see that light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes the tunnel feels very never ending. But if you really love what you do, if you're passionate about that, but on top of that, in Alex's case, he's passionate about helping others, and he's passionate about making sure that, if I had to take these steps, or if I had to do this, or if I had to do that, if I can save somebody else that heartache, that time, and everything, and really push them ahead, that too. But I also do think too, in a sense, it's a call to action what he does, because while he's very serious, while he's very passionate, while he's built a brand, while he has tailored everything, set the foundation in stone, you also have to want it for yourself. You know, he's not, it's just not going to, the work on his end is going to happen. It's going to be consistent. The testimonials and everything speaks for itself. But I will also say, to an extent, you have to want that job just the same. You have to want a better position for yourself. You have to make sure that you're building these connections, that you're staying consistent, and not just do it when he's on top, but do it even after that. Do it moving forward. Do it with other people. So I love kind of your model and what you have going on, because while it is a lot of just give, that you're giving the people the value, everything like that, it is some take that comes with it too, because people have to take this seriously in everything that they're doing. So for everything that you're involved in, for everything that you've already done, I want to think future a little bit. I want to think about, without spoiling anything, without kind of giving up anything that may happen within the future. Would you say there are any avenues that you haven't tapped into yet? Any things that I know we spoke about high school students and you kind of trying to implement yourself in that, but is there anything that you're kind of thinking about from the business side or service side, or just even anything that you want to kind of get into as the year kind of moves along?
Yeah, definitely. So I think in terms of just like the Mahaz Consulting gig, I think the biggest thing I want to focus on like the next 6-7 months is obviously putting on workshops on campuses. We talked a little bit about that in the last interview. I'd love to get on UT's campus, USF's campus, kind of work with the program directors there and kind of start building relationships more kind of in person, and just do free workshops, kind of provide as much value as I can, kind of more extended than from the content I'm providing now. But also too, I've realized too, a lot of international students are struggling to get jobs as well, especially at USF. There's a lot of international students that come here to Tampa, so I'm passionate about that too, really trying to focus on helping them as much as I can. I have a good friend in India. He was born in the U.S., but I've learned a lot from him, and just how hard it is when you come here to school and then being able to obtain a job. I think it's like 6 or 7 months to get a worker's visa, or you have to go back home. So I'm also really passionate about that too, because being from America, I think I take it for granted sometimes how quick and how easy it is for opportunities for us. But so I think that is a specific area I really want to focus on in the next couple of months, really helping those international students, kind of teaching them, maybe not as in depth as some of the other students that I'm working with, but really just kind of help them find a job so they can stay here too. So,
and that's, wow, you even put something into perspective for me, how sometimes it's an afterthought for us. We just apply, wake up and go, but other people are literally, I've even had some people come into my job, like interviewing, and they were a couple of international students. I want to say the one guy though, it was either, I want to say he might have been from Ukraine or somewhere around there, but he was kind of telling us the process about how he was just in this program, and if they don't have something to show, they're out of here just like that. And it's just crazy, bro. Just with the hoops and
they're such hard workers too. It's
like
they're
way harder
than us. And
the fact that he's here right now just showed that you're ready. And I'm just chilling. I don't know what's going on right. So I love to hear that, but I heard you say the word international. So I feel like I kind of know the answer to this question, but I want to know your thought process, and I want people to kind of, because we have audience kind of all over. So I know that right now you said UT, you said you're USF, you focus on that Tampa area. What does this look like moving forward as far as other places? Because I could imagine your reach. There are college students everywhere, high school students everywhere. So I know you want your reach to be just the same. Your brand has probably already been in different places in different spaces. So what's the outlook on that?
Exactly. So ideally globally. So that's the big thing. So what I envision in the next couple of years is really building out plans for college students. I love the one-on-one coaching because it's so specific to the client's needs and what they need for their career, and it's very hands-on. But I ideally would like to scale it globally, not even just the U.S., and really kind of teach students a different approach than kind of what we were taught in college, to find a job, to build a brand, to build a network professionally. So yeah, building those plans out and really being able to scale that so it's just more accessible globally. That's the biggest thing for me. So I know there's a couple companies that are doing it, but they're still very focused on that one-on-one, which is really important. But I think if I can build out a plan and have access to people on the other side of the world, that would be awesome. Okay. So yeah.
All right. So look, y'all, we speak a lot of things on the podcast. So coming to a city near you, we're just gonna put that out like that. But no, I know that we have a lot of people that are in school currently, siblings, friends of friends, everything of the sort. But these are things that are definitely needed, and these are things that you just want to start thinking about before you're in there. And like you said, you would hate to be trying to do things trial and error or figuring it out as you go, because that can be frustrating. And then just when you think you're kind of on some progress, what if you don't like it anymore? What if it's just not your thing? But had you had just step by step, or had you just maybe had somebody just, because sometimes what it takes is somebody just giving you a new perspective, asking you some questions, making you write some things down. That's when your mind and your brain starts to flow, because you may internalize, you may do things on your own, but somebody else who doesn't really know you, or somebody else who this is their job, they're going to get in depth. They're going to do those follow-ups. They're going to ask those questions, and they're not going to let you put it off. Now, it's up to you, as we said again, where you meet them. Some people meet them halfway. Some people you overly meet them. Some people they're still trying to fight. So you also have to think about that. You also just have to wonder. We don't want to. College is expensive, y'all. We see everything going around with these loans. Yeah. I don't know what they're about to do no more. And I went to college twice, y'all. So it's very expensive. So I need them to get it together. But nonetheless, I think what you have going on here, bro, it's amazing. I even think about for how prepared I felt I was for college. I think even if I had talked to somebody, or like you said, looked at those mentors in my life, or looked at somebody in my position, it would have even maybe been better off for me. It would have made my college process a little bit smoother. It would have stopped me from applying to like 8 different schools. I don't know why I thought that was cool back then. I applied to like 9 different schools. It was ridiculous. Like Common App and SAT, ACs. I took every test imaginable. Like it was ridiculous. So I love that a lot. But now, okay, to get into the services, the process specifically, for somebody working with Mahaz Consulting, for somebody really reaching out to you, inquiries, everything like that, what can they expect? What do you offer? What are some of the things that they can look to, whether they come across you on LinkedIn, social media, website, anything like that?
Yeah, so the first thing I really focus on is like just the relationship part. So we offer like a 35 minute kind of like clarity call, discovery call, really to get to know the student or young professional, whoever they are, and really just kind of understand their goals, what they want. Not just career-wise, but just like in life, like what makes them happy, what do they enjoy, what are they good at, some of their skills that they've kind of grown over the years, and then kind of dive into their experience, and then what type of area they're really focusing on. So on a few discovery calls, we end up, so the few of them I've done, I've realized that the students realize that they want something completely different, and they're just kind of living a dream that their parents had for them. So, and I'm able to discover that within 30 minutes. So, and they are too. So that's kind of cool to kind of understand that there's so many college students out there, young professionals that really just don't know what they want. So I really want to find those students and kind of teach them and give them the blueprint. So we focus like giving that kind of free discovery call, providing as much value as we possibly can, and then kind of just feeling it out and seeing if it's a good time to work together, kind of one-on-one. I think there's a lot of college students too that are still in school that they're just so busy. They work multiple jobs. They're playing a sport. Like I was playing a sport pretty much year round and working. So really that one-on-one coaching is not a deal for them at that time. So I'll usually just give them some free value and just kind of point them in the right direction and kind of build that relationship with them. So that's really kind of what they expect kind of going into it. But yeah, the biggest thing for me is just building the relationships. Also too is kind of like really focusing on the specific game plan for that person, what they want to go into, what field, and kind of taking apart their experience and just kind of tailoring it exactly to that job description that they're looking for. So, and then the branding too is a huge piece of it. And then we also offer too like the interview prep salary negotiation, things like that too. So that's more on the back end. Kind of once they get the job, we focus on that too. And but really the biggest thing where I see it going is I want to be with the college students throughout the whole process, like all the way through 90 days when they start that new role, to really kind of have more of that one-on-one mentorship. I don't want them to just have a job and be like, all right, good luck. Like I really want that, because I think even for me specifically transitioning into the IT world, like it was really challenging the first couple months. So I think understanding like that you have somebody there supporting you that's not really family or friends, and they're going to really push you. They're not going to be that. They're not going to give you that unbiased opinion. I think I'm passionate about that too. Kind of being able to walk them through those first couple months. So.
I've heard you say the word relationship so much, and that just lets me know that that's really the approach that you take. And I love just the personable approach, man, not to just make it feel like this is just my product or my service or my business, or this is like my life's work in a sense. And I love that because it translates into the consultations, to the calls. And I'm sure, like you said, that you've completely opened people's minds to just different things, or that they weren't even thinking this way, or nobody has even asked them that before, or they really never even took the chance to think for themselves. As you said, a lot of times leading up to college, we can really be doing things operated by our parents' wants and needs, and not really. It's not until we get on our own that we realize, wow, like I don't like this at all. Like I'm not really trying to do this, and money's involved and everything like that.
Living somebody else's dream.
Truly, man. I think
it's
that's
tough.
so important. Very tough. Yeah. So now, though, for the people out there, the people out there may not know much about how in depth you get, or everything that kind of has to come with the territory, or everything of the niche. So to break things down, I guess a little bit more, what would you say is something that's been eye-opening to you about this entire experience, whether it be something that happened from Illinois to Tampa, whether it be clients that you've talked to, whether it be schools that you're working with, anything else? So what's something that you really have to take a step back and be like, wow, like that's different, like, whether it be good or bad?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to be blunt, is like people really don't know what it takes to get a job. Like even with a degree, without a degree, I guess it depends on different industries. But like let's say if you have a 4-year degree and you're going down the corporate path, you're 21, 22. I've really realized, including me too, that there's just so many students that don't understand the process of getting a job and how competitive it is, no matter what the market's like. So I think there's so many people, and like on LinkedIn too, you can see like there'll be hundreds of people that are quick applying for those jobs, even on Indeed too. And a lot of Indeed jobs, they don't even remove them off of Indeed, and they're already filled. So it's like, kind of what the biggest thing is I've learned is just like there's so many students that just they need those skills, and I mean I'm still learning too. Like there's so many things that I'm learning with my job, transitioning. Like I just got a new job 2 days ago. I'm transitioning into another IT job. I just increased my salary like $25K just from the networking and everything. So like understanding like there's still so much that you can learn about the market and just the process. And I think just teaching students that, because you don't learn in school. You don't learn in school, and career services and colleges, they do a great job with kind of preparing your resume and getting you those skills, the interview prep. But I think there's so much more that universities don't teach about the internal process within companies, especially like corporate companies. And it's deep, and it's really who you know in the company, and building that relationship internally, and making sure that they remember you, even if they don't have an opportunity for you, that they know your name, they know who you are, and you're following up with them, even if you're not actually going to work there. It's just building that relationship. So that's the biggest thing I've learned, is that there's just a lot of people that need specific guidance. I think some people are luckier, like if they're an engineer, or maybe they're in IT, they have a specific field that they might just fall into a job and build their career that way. But I've learned too that there's a lot of students that do that, and they end up kind of losing their job during a pandemic or something, and they thought they were going to be a mechanical engineer forever, and now they're back to square one. So it's like just kind of understanding really the whole process and diving deep into it. So,
gotcha. Yeah. I love that, man. And it's great. Well, one, congratulations on that. I might have to go back to school for IT. But two, I really feel like growing up, it was like ingrained in us that like you just get all the knowledge you can, soak up everything, do this, do that. Even you look at some job applications now, and for entry level, sometimes what they want is just like, wow, like who has that? Like who can do that, or anything of the sort. But now I really feel like it goes back to our word relationship. I feel like now, like I've been connected or I've been in positions where they're open to train you or they're open to show you the ropes if you have proper interview etiquette. And I feel like that's a lost art these days too. Like you said, the follow-ups or just talking to people, connecting, asking. One of the most important things people do not do sometimes is when the job asks you, do you have any questions? Y'all just say no. Like you always, I did it at one time. Like, I don't care if you're at McDonald's, ask something.
Yeah.
Like,
there's always something.
So it's always something
like,
you could think
always,
of. Even if you throw a question that they threw on you,
twist
throw
it
it
around,
back and twist it and throw it back
around,
on them. You know what I mean? So, but I feel like interview etiquette is so important. But those connections, man, you can end yourself in a position or be somewhere just simply off of a conversation, off of a LinkedIn connection, off of somebody who you knew, off of a testimony, off of an interview, off of social media, anything like that. Whereas not to say knowledge doesn't matter at all, it also does matter those people skills building, because a lot of those times, a lot of things I've watched it happen. People get hired for roles that on paper or resume wise, no, you don't necessarily match the criteria. But are you coachable? Are you flexible? Did you ask questions? Did you follow up with me? Was the interview smooth? Everything like that. And they'll be willing to bring you in just that case too. Yeah, man. So I love that a lot. Now, before we tell people, where to tap in with you, everything of the sort, all the important information other than what you gave us already. What do you say to students out there who are even, and I mean, this could be addressed to business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives, just the same, anybody tapping into this interview. What do you say to people who just are lost, may not really know where the journey is going to end up, may just, like you said, somebody applying for a job for a few months now, you've done it for a year. Somebody who did what they thought was their dream job, what they thought was just the perfect match for them, they got denied, or they didn't hear back, or they're ghosted. What do you say to people really still figuring out this thing called life at the high school level, the collegiate level, even at the real world level?
Yeah, the quick answer is don't give up, because success is going to be there if you keep pounding. If you keep pounding the door, it's going to open up. But I think the biggest thing is just understanding what you enjoy. Like, take the whole salary, money, job, career, all that pressure, whether it's from family or your school or other friends that are higher off than you. Take all that pressure, put it to a side, and just kind of go back to when you were a little kid and what you really enjoy doing. And really just getting specific about your passions and your goals and what you want out of your life and what makes you the happiest. And then start there. And then whether you're 18 or you're 25, just go back to that kind of starting point and build a blueprint that way. And then you'll start slowly identifying your values, your goals, what's important to you, what you want in a company, who you want to work with. Those things will just kind of unravel itself once you kind of go to your core and understand what are your values? What do you want out of a relationship with an employer or a friendship? So, I would just say, really, if you're starting out, don't have a path. Really, just understand what are you good at, and then try to get around people that can really push you to the next level. Whether you're 18, 25, 30, that are going to help you level up in your career or in life, and have skills and things that you're really passionate about. So. I think that so many people focus on things they're not good at. We touched on it earlier, and I think that if you just focus on things you are good at, because everybody's good at something, whether it's coding, sales, riding a bike, any sport, there's always things that you can find that you're good at. So I think just kind of unraveling those things and tying that into a career and a job where you're going to build a career and a life out of that. That's super important. So that's kind of where I would start. And sometimes you got to go deep, and you got to really dig deep. And if you're in a rut, if you're like me and you're applying like crazy, and you're I have all the experience in the world, nobody's responding, the market sucks. It's just keep pushing and just understand your why. Why are you doing this? So,
man, I love that. Just because it's real. I don't think we're living in unpredictable times these days. But that's not to say that the impossible can't be possible. That's not to say that what you thought couldn't happen. Make the unthinkable thinkable and very much a reality. So, bro, as I kind of said in the beginning, even on the last interview, I commend you. I love everything that you're doing, just from one, being able to just meet you at the event, just connecting that way, just the networking that we did not even know each other, but two, then being able to see the content, being able to really see you. And I feel like ever since, not to say that I was not to take credit for this, y'all, but we talked about content a lot, and I was really showing him my page and how no matter what happens, no matter how many likes, shares, views, but no matter what happens, that you have to keep going. And I swear, y'all, every day, like clockwork, there's something on there. It's a post, it's a story, and it's not just. Sometimes it's good to get your face on the camera. It makes things easier, but it's vital information. Some of this stuff I've screenshot, some of the stuff I've sent and shared to my friends from the podcast, and anything of the sort. So I love to see what you're doing, bro, and I'm excited to see the reach only just amplify. The the fact that you're starting here and you're in a good base, you're in good proximity to the university and everything, only just lets me know that once you really start to build, once it becomes that household name that it's destined to be, it'll be over. So last but certainly not least, can you just let everybody know the best places to reach you, contact you, if they want to hop on a discovery call, anything like that? Give us everything you got.
Yeah, the biggest thing is probably our website, mahazconsulting.com, and you can pretty much find all our information there. The Instagram is slowly growing. It's getting there. So Mahaz Consulting is our Instagram as well. And then my email is also on our website. It's just my first name, Alex, last name, mahaz27@gmail.com. That's probably the best way to reach us. But that website, too, is also an easy access. So my personal number's on there as well. So yeah, the biggest thing is for me is like providing as much value as possible. Like I'll jump on a call with anybody and look at their resume or look at their cover letter and just provide as much value, because like I was in that same spot. So it's like, I enjoy it. It's kind of like a game for me.
Thrill,
it's like if I can give somebody things that I didn't have, I'll do it. So
that's amazing. And that's such a selfish quality, bro. Such a selfless approach just to have, because a lot of times we'll get in places, we'll get in spaces, we'll get in positions, and we'll gatekeep, and we'll make people pay this obscene amount of money, or we'll do things, and we'll not just recognize that we were that person at one point. You didn't need help or anything. So, and this even goes to all my people out there. You may not be a student, but you know student. You may be. I have a lot of educators who listen to the podcast. I have a lot of people within the school systems, nonprofits, everything like that. So even if you can't necessarily hop on and do a discovery call or anything, maybe you have some clientele for it. Maybe you have people who are in need of it. Maybe you even just send his page to somebody who may just need it, because it's like I said, it's motivation for me. I'm 4 or 5 years removed from school, but it's telling me different things. It's even helping me promote my business differently on LinkedIn and these different social media websites and everything like that. But it has to start somewhere. So Alex, I appreciate you, bro. Maybe I'm even a little bit appreciative of the thunderstorm that happened, because we got to make this live. We got to really do that.
Nothing like in person, man.
So I appreciate you pulling up on me. To everybody who continuously taps in, whether you're on Instagram Live, whether you're here in person, whether you're listening, whether you're moving and grooving throughout it, I love y'all. I thank y'all. This has been another episode of the Down to Business podcast. Here with Tamar Turner.